Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news updates, debates and my opinions. And today, reaction to Arsenal 3, Manchester United 1. What a day, what a game. I am still buzzing about it. You know what? The way you can just cruise through a Monday when all you have to do is flip open your phone and rewatch that Gabriel Jesus goal. It's just sensational. I hope you are all doing well. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Unless you're a United fan, I would imagine yesterday was a pretty good day for you. And we will get into all the reaction to that today. It's only going to be a short one, half an hour, because I am on the Football Terrace tonight, the Top 6 show, where, of course, I will be rubbing salt into the wounds of the United fan base. Loads of you in here: Ross, Hannah, SS9, Ethan, Francisco, Joshua, Magnus, Jelly Belly, Max, Leeds Gunner, Yoel, Jack. Good to see you all. Peter Drury commentary is ace. It's the icing on top of the cake, especially because obviously I was at the game. I'm sure some of you were at the game as well. Getting home and then reliving it again with Peter Drury's commentary on top. Obviously, if you're not in the UK, you might not get Peter Drury commentary, but yeah, it's just sensational. It's just sensational. Northside will be fuming. Honestly, you know, yeah, look, I don't want to talk about them too much, but can you imagine? They'd have been rubbing their hands when Garnacho put that ball past Aaron Ramsdale, and then the reaction. It would have been funny. Has anyone told you you look like Harry Brook, the cricketer? They haven't, but I'll take it. What a cricketer, by the way. What a cricketer. I think Peter Drury likes or supports us. Do you know what? I don't think he does. I don't think he does, but he has often said it should always feel like he does. It should always feel like he's completely invested in the teams that are playing. And he does a great job of that. Vieira has played 47 minutes and registered 2 assists and won us a penalty. He has. He has. Josh Edwards. Cry, mate. Cry. We're going to talk about this. Clearly, you've been reading the Eric Ten Hag approach to how you deal with defeat, and you just scream, "Robbery! Robbery! It's robbery!" You got outplayed. You got beaten. Fair and square is the truth. Vieira is a special player. He makes things happen in the final third. He does. And look, truth is, he's knocking on the door. Vieira is knocking on the door, and Havertz isn't doing enough to keep his place. And we'll talk about that a bit more in a bit. But look, in terms of the game itself, I thought we were the better team. I still don't think we're actually at our best. I think that's fair to say. I think if I think back to the United-Arsenal game at the Emirates last season, I thought we were more comfortable in that game. I thought we were more deserving of victory in that game. There are still things that need to click. I think things looked much better yesterday than they had done in certain parts of the first 3 games of the season. I thought Zinchenko's a massive, massive boost to us. Jake, no worries, good to see you. Yeah, I thought Zinchenko just changes everything. He really does. The way we move through midfield and also across midfield when Zinchenko's in the team makes it so much easier for us. And one big thing to note yesterday, look how much more joy Martinelli was having. How many times was Martinelli one-on-one with Wan-Bissaka yesterday compared to what we've seen in the first 3 games of the season? It's a big difference. So that's good. You know, we got out of the game with no further injuries, which is good. Obviously, bad news that Thomas Partey is probably going to be out for about 6 weeks, which is a big knock. And there is Declan Rice has to stay fit. Let's be real. We are a Declan Rice injury away from being in quite a lot of trouble because of that injury. What did you think about the... Rory, do you think Garnacho was offside, or are you delusional? Well, Garnacho was offside. And this is the crazy thing about this, right? There's no opinion to be had. There's no, I think he was offside, you think he was onside, who's right, He was offside, objectively. The lines were drawn. There's no opinion on this. Factually, he was offside. There is no, do you think? There is only, Garnacho was offside. And this is where I think, Ten Hag has kind of gaslit United fans. And Ten Hag is now responsible for United fans embarrassing themselves on social media, talking about it's not offside, and they've got no reason for it. They've got no reason to actually justify saying that he was onside, other than, or the angle was wrong. The angle has been the same. The camera angle you saw on TV is just one of many, many angles that they have in VAR to draw the lines perfectly parallel. And what was actually the case is that Gabriel was absolutely bang on in terms of stepping up. And the big thing that he did was that he stepped up and he straightened his body, which meant his shoulder was further back than Garnacho's. Now, yeah, it's a tiny proportion. It's an inch, maybe 2 inches, which for some of you might think is quite big. But the issue is offside is offside. And you'll get them through the season. And yes, it's unlucky. It was a well-taken goal. It's unlucky in the sense that there was millimetres in it. But that happens to every team. And it will happen the other way at some point this season, where United will concede a goal and it will be ruled out for an offside that's that small. So this isn't it's just not something that you can debate. It's not something you can debate. Robbed? You weren't robbed. You weren't robbed. And massive credit to Gabriel. Gabriel had a sensational game, by the way. To come back in for his first start of the season was excellent. Matt, Rory, would you agree that the margin of difference at home at the Emirates against an arguably weakened team was concerning? Sure, the win is great, but a concern nonetheless, and miles off City. Yeah, that kind of falls into the point I made at the start, that I think, we were more deserving of the win last season than this season. I thought there was a bigger gulf in quality last season than this season. But equally, Arteta said it himself after the game, it shouldn't have gone until the 96th. It shouldn't have taken us until the 96th minute. Saka missed a tap-in. Ultimately, it was a tap-in. And we should have been comfortably more ahead. I thought we should have done better from the corners. I know eventually Rice's goal came from a corner, but that was the 12th corner we had. And there are things that we need to improve on. Undoubtedly things we need to improve on. And the biggest difficulty is we're leaving ourselves very vulnerable on the break. And Garnacho's goal, there's an inch in it. It could have gone the other way. And if United score at that point, I think we probably lose 2-1. Rashford, a couple of times Rashford went through. Obviously, the one time he scored, there were another couple of times where I thought he made the wrong decision. One of the times he could have played it into Højlund. We do leave ourselves vulnerable. And I would like to see us just be less vulnerable, ultimately, in those positions. I don't know how you do that, because the way we play naturally leaves a lot of space in behind. But look, we're definitely developing, especially with new players. And ultimately, their first goal comes from a mistake from Kai Havertz. It's plain and simple. Kai Havertz loses the ball in a very dangerous position. Arguably, we should still do more after that to stop the goal. I don't think it's fair to completely blame Kai Havertz for that. I thought we still had Marcus Rashford 2-on-1. We had Ben White and Saliba. Stop him cutting in. Just don't let him cut in. So there was still more that could have been done, but it is what it is. At least we won by 2 goals, just to put it beyond doubt. I'd hate for Manchester United fans to feel robbed. Well, yeah, unfortunately, Simon, they feel incredibly robbed. And this is what I'm saying. Ten Hag has taken no responsibility for that loss. Ten Hag has taken no responsibility, and instead he's tried to blame the referees. And if you listen to any pundit, if you listen to Dermot Gallagher, who admittedly, I do think gets a lot of things wrong, and I do think sticks up for the referees too much. Mike Dean, no one other than Man United fans has come out and said that United were robbed. The offside was offside. The Gabriel foul on Højlund in the box was not a foul. He shielded the ball. Højlund himself didn't even appeal for the penalty, which should tell you everything. The Saka red card. I mean, Saka's getting fouled in the process. The stud is on his boot. There's no force behind it. It's not a red card. Actually, Lindelof kicking Eddie Nketiah in the face was more of a red card than Saka's offence, but that wasn't a red card either. For the Declan Rice goal, the foul on Johnny Evans from Gabriel, Dermot Gallagher actually said, if anything, Evans was fouling Gabriel. And if the shot had missed from Rice, we could have been looking at a penalty. But either way, it certainly wasn't a free kick the other way. And it's not just, Dermot Gallagher that said that. Every pundit. The pundits on Match of the Day. Jermaine Genius on Match of the Day. He can't stand Arsenal. He didn't say that anything was unfair. So Ten Hag needs to start taking responsibility. And if I was a United fan, I'd be worried that Ten Hag is coming out of that game, looking at that performance, and saying that United deserved to win the game. Because they didn't. They simply didn't. They weren't very good, is the truth. I've seen us play against Fulham, Palace, and Forest this season. United didn't play any better than those three teams. And if Ten Hag thinks that that's good enough, that's really worrying for Man United. So he needs to start looking at... He does need to start looking... self-reflecting. And looking at himself and looking at his team. Because they weren't good. They could not build out from the back whatsoever. The amount of times that it would be Onana to Martinez, to Onana, to Martinez, to Onana, to Lindelof, to Onana. They weren't going anywhere at all. So look, I really do feel like this this feeling of robbery the United fans have got, it's not justified. And fair enough, it's unfortunate for them that they've now got to stew on it for 2 weeks because it's an international break. But Arsenal deserve to win. Arsenal deserve to win at the end of the day. Ibrahim, no worries. Good to see you in the chat. Best game you've ever been to? It might be. It might be. The ending. Obviously, I was at Bournemouth last year for the 98th minute winner. That was mental. But yesterday, I think because we'd had such a gut-wrenching low of thinking that Garnacho had scored. And from my angle, by the way, so I was at the opposite end to where Garnacho scored, and on the left-hand side. And from my angle, it 1,000,000% looked like he was onside, to the point where when the ball went in, me and people around me didn't even think that it might be offside. Sometimes a goal goes in and you've seen that it's tight and you're like, oh, maybe VAR will save us. We were full on absolute depresso espresso in our section because it looked like he was onside. So, yeah, it was crazy. And what we saw, and I don't know if you saw this if you were watching on TV, but the people in the boxes, so I think KSI was actually there with a load of YouTubers, but the people in the boxes, they saw the graphic on their TV screens inside the box to show that it was offside before Anthony Taylor or the VAR screen said it inside the stadium. So we suddenly heard all of this cheering coming from the boxes because it was offside, and then obviously it filtered through and it was just madness, and then the ending was just absolute nuts. Ross Lawman says, Man United are top of the bottom half of the table. Fair play. Yeah, look at them. Look, we're 4 games in and you've got United, Chelsea, Newcastle all in the bottom half of the table. Rory, what are your thoughts on the Havertz penalty? I think it's not a penalty, but if he calls it on the field, it's not a clear and obvious error. Everything looks completely different in super slow-mo. Caleb, I think you're bang on. I think it's not a penalty. If you're judging it, is that incident, is it a penalty? No. I wouldn't want penalties to be given for that. Once it's given, should it be overturned? No. Because there is contact there, which means it's not a clear and... And this is my continued issue with clear and obvious error. To me, that is no less of a penalty than the Marcus Rashford one against Nottingham Forest a week before. But that's at Old Trafford and it's Man United, and so he isn't sent to VAR, or he's not sent to the monitor. Whereas for us, he gets sent to the monitor. Ultimately, it didn't matter in the end, but I feel like it shouldn't have been overturned. And there was no reason for Havertz to go down. Havertz was about to take a shot at goal. So, but it is what it is. It worked out well in the end. This is why I love beating United. Their fans always try and find excuses to explain why they didn't play well. Look, there's loads of excuses they can make. The fact is, they weren't good enough on the day. It's as simple as that. And also, in injury time, one team was pushing for the win. One team was trying to hold on to a draw. We were pushing for the win. We forced the corner, and we scored from the corner. And that's the benefit of pushing for the win instead of trying to hold on for a draw. I feel like someone would have missed the pen Well, interestingly, Ødegaard had it in his hand, but quite a lot of the time, the player that's not going to take it will hold it in their hand, and then they'll pass it off to the other player that's going to take it when the kind of drama has all died down. So I think it might have been Saka that was going to take it anyway, but we will never know. We will never know. In terms of a few things that Arteta said, he was asked if the game went according to plan. He said exactly like that. Yep, I told them yesterday that was going to happen. I didn't want to tell the crowd, so there was a bit of emotion there. Arteta was enjoying himself in the post-match presser, that's for sure. He was asked how he feels. He said, great, we all worked so hard to and plan everything to live moments like this. He was asked about scoring late goals. He said, I prefer that Bukayo puts it in the back of the net much earlier, as well as all the other chances we had. But if it doesn't happen that way, it has to happen another way, and the team needs different tools to win football matches. He was asked about Declan Rice's performance. Declan Rice, by the way, unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I've seen some people trying to downplay how good Declan Rice was yesterday, saying, oh, he was average. He was average apart from the goal. Mate, stop watching football. If you can't see how good Declan Rice is, stop watching football. Because he was sensational. And Arteta said, I think it was a tremendous performance. When you look at a holding midfielder and how he needs to dominate his area and the pressing that is needed, how he breaks up play, how he glues the team together in many moments when it was stretching out a little bit, he was really dominant and then produced a magic moment to win the game. So I'm really happy with him. And one thing I would say on this, right, is that you can't have your cake and eat it. So on one hand, when Havertz missed that opportunity, he's getting ridiculed and everyone's saying, Havertz has to score that. It's a howler of a miss. How has he not scored? Well, that Havertz chance came from Declan Rice winning the ball back really aggressively in the midfield. He won the ball back. He set that play in motion. And you're then saying that Havertz should have scored. Well, if Havertz should have scored, then Declan Rice has clearly had a big impact because he's created a goal-scoring opportunity that has to go in. But then you're saying that Declan Rice was average all game and didn't do anything until the goal. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. He was asked about Declan Rice's mentality. He said, we did it yesterday, but yesterday your heart rate is at 80 and today it's at 190. So to produce the same level of quality when the pressure is on in that moment is just unique. You have to have that quality and that composure, and it showed today. And he was asked about his dressing room, his leadership in the dressing room. He said he's natural. He's a great kid. I think he's got a good mixture between being extremely demanding with everybody and himself, and then a bit of banter as well. Being around the boys and the staff in a really humble way. I think he's fitted in brilliantly. He was asked about Thomas Partey's injury. He said, I don't know. Unfortunately, he got an injury in training and it doesn't look good. We need some more tests. We believe he's going to be out for weeks. I think it's a groin. We think it's a groin, but it can be something in between. So apparently it might be kind of his groin/thigh. So they're not too sure. He was asked about the performance level of the team heading into the international break. He said he's very happy. We've played 4 games. We deserve to win 4 games. It could have been very different, but the margins that we are arriving at the late stages of the game doesn't reflect what the team has done before. There are things that are still in our control that we can do better, and the team will try and progress and evolve in that direction to close games earlier and win them easier. And then he was asked whether Fabio Vieira could start in the next match, and he said every player has a chance to do that. Today we decided to start with Kai. We knew that Fabio would have a big impact, especially in the last few minutes or the final minutes if we needed something, and something has changed with Fabio. You notice with the crowd when he steps in, it is different to how he was last year. He's more mature, he's more senior in the squad, and his confidence in the squad is high. So I'm really happy to have him. And I want to say about that, by the way, Fabio Vieira, it did. Yesterday, when Fabio Vieira came on, there was far more support for him. You know, when he came on against Fulham, there wasn't that much support for him. Truthfully, there were quite a lot of kind of mutterings and tutterings. Yesterday, there was a lot of support for him. And he paid it back with a really good assist. So it's good, and he does look confident. I don't know if you've seen it, but when he made the assist for Nketiah's goal against Fulham, he played the assist, and then he literally just stood there. And there was just like this real kind of arrogance about him, which I really liked. Beast Destroyer says Reece cooked as well. He did. Reece Nelson, I don't know how to explain it, right? But when Reece Nelson comes on, there is just this uplift in intensity, and there's like just a buzz Whenever he's near the ball, whenever he's on the ball, it just feels like you're going to score. And I know people love to use the word aura, and some people hate the word aura. But there is just this, like, I don't know how to describe it, but the crowd just fizzes off his presence. And he was massive yesterday. He didn't directly lead to any of the goals, but he was great. Reece just changes the game. He's an impact player. Yeah, exactly. Smithy, Francisco, spot on. Jorginho will have a massive part to play if Partey is injured for a long period of time. Yeah, look, I know yesterday was great with Havertz, but I wouldn't mind seeing Jorginho, Rice and Ødegaard. I do quite like seeing Rice further forward, as good as he was yesterday in the 6. Interestingly, Rice was asked on Sky after the game if he prefers the 6 or the 8. And he said he does. If he had to pick, he does actually prefer the 6. He feels more natural there. But he said he's loving kind of learning how to play the 8. Rory, mate, just one other thing. Is it about time that we eat some humble pie on Fabio? A lot of people have been seriously critical until recently. Even said we should sell him this window. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I feel like even at a point in pre-season, I was getting to a point where I was kind of thinking, you know, I don't know if this transfer has worked out. I feel like I tried to kind of back, you know, it's just my style is that I'll back a player, you know, for a longer period of time, I guess, than some other fans would. But even I began to lose faith in Fabio. So, yeah, I do think he's proving a lot of doubters wrong. And it's great. It's fantastic. Said it last summer and even a few weeks ago, Vieira will be our version of Bernardo Silva. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. And I think more fans are beginning to see that now as well, which is great. When's Smith Rowe going to get minutes? Do you know what? I've seen this question quite a bit, and I understand why. Obviously, we're 4 games in and he's not played a minute yet, but I'm not too bothered. There are going to be so many games. There are going to be so many injuries. I'm not too bothered. Reece Nelson hadn't played a minute until yesterday. Yesterday was Reece Nelson's first minutes of the season. This is just what we have. With the attacking depth that we have, when everyone's fit and we're only playing 1 game a week, you can't play everyone. Yesterday, again, Trossard didn't come on. Reece Nelson came on instead. There will be times where, you know, Smith Rowe comes on because he's the best option. It's not something that bothers me too much. Very disrespectful to Bernardo Silva, that. It's not, because he's not said that he'll be at Bernardo Silva's level, which is, you know, maybe he will one day be at Bernardo Silva. But the point is stylistically is the point, which you can compare players stylistically without comparing their ability. Would love to see Smith Rowe in the 8. I agree. Have you gone on holiday yet, or is that later this week? No, I go on holiday on Thursday. I go on holiday on Thursday for a week, so there will be no streams. But it's the international break, so there's not going to be a huge amount of Arsenal stuff to talk about anyway. So it's not too bad. Reece in court? No, it's been delayed, so we'll talk about that. So Reece Nelson, if you didn't know, was in trouble. His dog allegedly attacked a masseuse. This has been rumbling on for a while. He was meant to be in court today, or he was in court today. It's now for a 3-day trial. That's now been suspended for another 12 months. So he's not due to be in court again now until August of next year. Look, there's various reports. You can speculate on it. To all intents and purposes, it sounds very much like someone's trying to rinse him for money, effectively. But we'll see how that goes. Dobbo's in the chat. Dobbo, what a legend. What a game. What a game indeed. What a game indeed. It was unbelievable. Thoughts on the fan who allegedly assaulted Roy Keane yesterday? Do you know what, right? It's quite interesting. So apparently this fan headbutted Roy Keane. And he's been arrested for it. And that's fair enough. But it's interesting to think that if Roy Keane had been on a football pitch and headbutted someone, he wouldn't get arrested for it. He'd get suspended. He'd get a red card and he'd get suspended, but you wouldn't get arrested. You wouldn't get arrested for it. I mean, why someone's headbutting him, I don't know. Absolutely embarrassing if that's what they've done. But yeah, it is interesting. Were you surprised to see Nelson off the left instead of Trossard, or even taking Saka off and putting Nelson on the right? No. Arteta's done it quite a few times. Arteta's done it quite a few times. Rory, why do I have so many triggered West Ham fans in my mentions on Twitter? They're so salty. Yeah, do you know what? There's been a few West Ham fans that have been really good with Declan Rice and are kind of happy for him, but there is a group of West Ham fans that, for whatever reason, don't want to see Declan Rice do well. I don't know. I don't get it. I think in terms of what I can try and relate it to, I look at someone like Henry. When Henry left, I kind of still looked out for him and wanted him to do well, unless it was Barcelona against Arsenal. Dobbo said his throat is killing. Someone else said something I was going to respond to then. But I can't remember what it was. How high does it rank in my experiences at the Emirates? I think it's number one. I do. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. There's something about Reece when he comes on late in the game, the whole feel of the stadium changes and everyone is more confident that we'll score. It's true. Anyway, I'm running out of time. Nicola Pepe, of course, so the transfer window is still open in Saudi Arabia and in Turkey, and Nicola Pepe will join Besiktas. This is according to L'Equipe. Nicola Pepe will join Besiktas. The player has passed a medical in Paris today. Pepe accepted Besiktas' proposal in recent hours after initially rejecting them earlier in this transfer window. Now, Dobbo is the transfer expert, so I don't know if he's got any update on that. Honestly, the limbs and noise yesterday for that winner was one of the loudest and craziest I've ever seen at the Emirates on a different level. Yeah, 100%. 100%. That was the thing. As mental as the Bournemouth winner was, it was a 3 o'clock kickoff on a Saturday, which meant a lot of the crowd were kind of more, not in an offensive way, but 3 o'clock Saturday kickoffs against relegation fodder tend to be far easier to get tickets, and therefore you get more tourists and stuff. So the atmosphere is not quite the same. Yesterday was just wild. Absolutely wild. Anyway, time for Guess the Gooner, the game where I give you an ex or current Arsenal player's career path minus the Arsenal part of it, and you have to guess who it is in the chat. First person to get it gets the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community and the wider footballing community. And get into it. So, if you're watching on TikTok, by the way, and you want to get involved, the Instagram icon in my bio will take you to the YouTube channel. And you can get involved. Subscribe to the channel as well, please. But if you're here, please subscribe. We are on the way to 6,000 subscribers. This player started their career at Angers. They went to US Orleans on loan. They went to Lille, and they went to Nice on loan. Angers, Orleans on loan, Lille, and Nice on loan. Who is the player? It's not Guendouzi, it's not Welbeck, it's not Carlos Vela. It is indeed Nicola Pepe, and Beast Destroyer is back with a bang. Beast Destroyer gets it first. Congratulations to Beast Destroyer. SS9 was second, Ethan Udall was third, Jermaine was fourth, and the Life of Liam was fifth. Dobbo just outside the top 5 in 6th. Unlucky. There you go. That's the Guess the Gooner. I can't remember if I've done him before. I don't think I have. And time for Guess the Non-Gooner. This is where I give you a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal. I give you their full career path, and you have to guess who it is in the chat. This player started their career at Sporting Lisbon. They went to Barcelona. They went to Real Madrid. And they went to Inter Milan. Sporting Lisbon, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Inter Milan. One of the most famous transfers in history. Barcelona to Real Madrid. So rarely done before. And it is indeed Luis Figo. And the first person to get it was Jude. Jude got it first. I don't know if we've ever had Jude as a winner before. I think this is your first win, Jude. So congratulations, Jude. Mr. Adam second, SS9 third, Oscar Street fourth, and Safi was in fifth. Congratulations to Jude. Congratulations to Beast Destroyer. And welcome, Aaron, to the channel. Aaron is our second ever member on the Rory Talks Football channel. I massively appreciate it, Aaron. Thank you very much. You are one of an elite 2-person membership who has joined the Rory Talks Football membership. So I massively appreciate that. Obviously a big supporter of the channel who I greatly appreciate. How do I become a member? Underneath the stream, I think next to where it says subscribe, it says join. It says join, and you can become a member. You know I had to double it. Aaron, you're a legend. You're an absolute legend. I do appreciate it massively. Anyway, that is going to be the end of the stream. Like I said, I have to jump off. I will be back live in half an hour on the Football Terrace for the Top 6 show, where we will be gloating about Arsenal's 3-1 win over Man United. But that is it. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I hope you have a fantastic evening, whether you're watching the Football Terrace or not. And I will be back at 5 o'clock tomorrow, as usual. But until then, goodbye.